The need for action-oriented working class solidarity. ICE and the National Guard are active in our neighborhoods, door by door. The U.S. military and the privately contracted mercenaries are deployed to places like the Caribbean, Sudan, Palestine, and everywhere that experiences the boot of U.S. imperialism on their necks. Fascist violence is growing quickly because nationally oppressed and exploited people are pushing back against the hostile conditions of capitalism here and across colonial borders. These special bodies of armed men are here to keep the peace and maintain order for the rich ruling class at the expense of the working and oppressed classes. Fighting back is necessary for our survival. How we fight back can help us move away from the horrors of the capitalist system towards collective liberation. This is why we are adamant that our fight back must take the form of non-criminalized community defense. We must defend ourselves while proactively organizing for a system that meets needs according to needs, without recreating the punitive and dehumanizing tactics of the capitalist state. One of the greatest weapons that we have as a class as we build non-criminalized community defense is action-oriented solidarity. We need principle unity, not division. The rich love when we hate and judge each other to distract from the fact that they are the ones creating the conditions of our deprivation. They spend billions of dollars a year on brainwashing us to normalize racism, sexism, classism, homophobia, immigrant hate, and so much more, while they keep taking our money by raising the cost of living, lowering our wages, defunding public services, locking our people up. They have us judging, mistrusting, and blaming each other. To change our conditions, we have to understand who really is in power. Your coworker isn't the one who sets the unequal pay. Your boss does. Undocumented workers aren't the ones driving up the cost of food and housing. The CEOs and the landlords are. Youth and teachers aren't the ones defunding the school budget. Corrupt politicians and administrators are. Building solidarity with each other, which actually keeps us safe, means not accepting the propaganda of the rich ruling class who controls this rotten system. It's also important to name that being in solidarity does not mean that we give other working class people a free pass when they cause harm. Solidarity rooted in non-criminalized defense means that we hold people accountable in transformational ways. Consequences are necessary, but consequences should not mimic the capitalist state's practices of dehumanization. We don't have all the answers, but the only way to get to answers that liberate us is through collective struggle, with an understanding that the capitalist system creates the conditions that pit us against one another. No to criminalization and privatization. Action-oriented solidarity helps us to see that not being able to afford something needed for survival is not an individual problem, it's a societal problem. Poverty is not a moral failing, it's a tool of social, political, and economic control. The rich ruling class and their puppet politicians regularly use criminalization and privatization to make us believe not everyone deserves to have access to basic human rights: food, water, housing, safety, well-being, and beyond. Our solidarity cannot be limited to those who can pay for a resource that we all need. For example, when we fight for water access for all, we cannot entertain water shutoffs as a legitimate practice. We are criminalized for not paying the water bill or the hospital bill, when the real problem is that these basic necessities shouldn't have a price tag or be attached to a CEO's salary in the first place. Selling baked goods made with SNAP funds is not causing harm. Paying poverty wages that force working people into punitive aid programs that still don't make ends meet is the true harm that we must disrupt. Privatization is central to the capitalist system and accelerates criminalization of the working class. When local and state governments decide to defund necessary programs, they sell them off to the highest bidder, from privatizing sanitation and water to education and more. Privatization delivers less, while charging more, keeping cost and criminalization high, accountability and access low, and ensuring that the poor always end up paying more than the rich. Practicing our principles collectively. Everyone in the working class, black, white, indigenous, undocumented, incarcerated, unhoused, trans, disabled, and beyond, is deserving of food, water, shelter, safety, and dignity. This principle must be the foundation of how we actually apply solidarity in our practice of non-criminalized community defense. We need action-oriented solidarity that does not crumble in the face of criminalization, privatization, or any other excuse used to justify denying people what they need to live and be safe. Action oriented solidarity that makes a material impact must be practiced with others. We cannot do this work without each other. Even when it may feel comfortable to try to do things on our own, that being said, there may come a time when we need to act quickly as individuals to disrupt and attack. Good intentions, opportunism, and recklessness masking solidarity will help no one. Holding ourselves accountable to our political principles, even in moments of crisis, is what will help us build genuine bonds of trust and bring more workers into the fight back. How our solidarity shows up in practice will reveal to us the work that we need to do to practice solidarity with the diversity of needs of the working class. The bottom line, the only way to change our conditions is to come together and challenge those who create the conditions for exploitation and oppression. We must go to the source of our unnecessary suffering. Those of us who are serious about our safety and well being under our current conditions must begin to do the work of uniting the working class through action oriented solidarity within the larger framework of non criminalized community defense. And this is a quote from revolutionary ancestor George Jackson. And brother said, settle your quarrels, come together, understand the reality of our situation, understand that fascism is already here, that people are already dying who could be saved, that generations more will live poor, butchered, half lives if you fail to act. Ashe.